Just about, yeah. Sharon called me about 5 or 6 questions. So I will really help you with some of the wrong answers.
Oh, good. Hey, thank you.
Excellent. That'll be
John, always is good. Well,
all right. Good seeing you. I'll sit down here. Noted. Yeah, my name is Nobody. Is that a Clint Eastwood movie? I think it's a Clint Eastwood movie. That sounds tedious. Yeah. Yeah.
Good morning. At 6 o'clock on August 9th, I am calling the City Council meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Mayor Thompson.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Estes.
Here.
Councilmember Hinton.
Here.
Councilmember Corey.
Here.
Councilmember Rick.
Here.
Councilmember Applegate.
Here.
Councilmember Duncan.
Present.
All 7 members present.
Thank you very much. Before we get to item 4.1 presentations, we're going to take a slight break and we're going to do an honoring of Deputy Andrew Peary, who lost his life this week, and I'd like to read a statement. On Sunday, another law enforcement officer laid down his life while serving and protecting our community and our families. The news that Deputy Andrew Peary was shot and killed in the line of duty has hit us all with a sense of profound shock and deep sadness, while also reminding us of the men and women in law enforcement who work every day to keep our families safe. As a city, all of our love and thoughts and prayers go out to his wife Megan and his 2 children. The Fountain City Council and our community stand with Deputy Peary's family, as well as all of his brothers and sisters in law enforcement. Please join me for a moment of silence in honor of Deputy Peary. Thank you very much. I now have 2 statements people would like to read. We have State Representative Mary Bradfield here, who has joined us. Thank you very much for coming down to our community tonight, and she would like to read a statement.
Thank you very much, and thank you to the Fountain City Council. I appreciate the opportunity. On behalf of a majority of El Paso County Republican state representatives and senators, we would like to state our profound regret at the death of 3 people last Sunday. We especially want to express our sincere condolences to the family of Officer Peary, their families, and friends. We also want to express our gratitude and condolences to the members of the El Paso County Sheriff's Office, the Fountain Police Department, and first responders that were involved. We acknowledge that each of you will grieve in your own way, but we wish that each person may receive God's grace and mercy. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Bradfield. Thank you very much. We have Commissioner Lajinos Gonzalez, who would like to come down and make a statement also. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. Sad day today. As Commissioner, I just wanted to highlight how for our Sheriff's Department, our Sheriff, and all of El Paso County, are heartbroken over this loss of one of our own. And again, condolences to the family and all his co-workers that knew him so well. We want to support them, and we're asking the community to come together to support them. The loss of 3 lives from Sunday afternoon. One is too many, and we're seeing too many of these in my several years as a commissioner. But we pray for the family. And I do want to just thank all law enforcement, the sheriff's deputies, the police officers, the dispatchers who are on the other end of a line or on the call and have to hear this happening, and those who respond and see it. And so I want to thank your police officers as well who responded and were there as well. So I just thank all the law enforcement, first responders, and their staff, and again, ask for community support for the family of our deputy. God bless. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate you coming down.
Thank you, Mayor. City Council, I thank you for this opportunity to give a brief account of what happened on Sunday night. On Sunday, August 7th, El Paso County Sheriff's Office received numerous 911 calls from a neighborhood in Security Widefield. Callers stated they heard gunshots coming from a residence on Ponderosa Drive. 2 El Paso County deputies quickly responded to the scene and were immediately fired upon by the suspect. One of the deputies, Andrew Peary, was struck by gunfire and fell to the ground in front of the house. The other deputy on scene radioed for help and that an officer was down. Fountain Police Corporal J.D. Haley was first on scene and assessed the situation, realizing that a deputy had been shot and the gunman was not accounted for. Corporal Haley understood the gravity of the situation and called for additional officers while formulating an initial plan. Sergeant Andrew Anderson arrived and took over command of the scene as Officer Destin Alvarez, who's not with us here today, he's home with his family, also arrived on scene. Other officers had yet to arrive, and without hesitation, Corporal Haley and Sergeant Anderson developed a plan to rescue Deputy Perry. Another deputy arrived on scene, and the team of 4 used a police SUV to shield themselves from the gunman as Officer Alvarez dragged Deputy Perry several feet to safety. Deputy Perry was placed in the back of the SUV where Officer Alvarez began performing life-saving measures. Sergeant Anderson and Corporal Haley remained on the scene, devising a second plan to rescue the female victim that had also been shot. The entire total time from Sergeant Anderson's arrival to the execution of this plan to save Deputy Perry was 1 minute and 35 seconds. Officer Alvarez arrived at the location where the ambulance was staged and took Deputy Perry out of the police car to resume life-saving efforts. As paramedics took over, Officer Alvarez ran several blocks back to the scene with his medical bag in foot, knowing Sergeant Anderson and Corporal Haley still needed more help. A critical incident of this magnitude is very rare in our community, and unfortunately 2 people's lives were taken in a senseless, evil act of violence. Deputy Perry gave the ultimate sacrifice on that night. These 3 Fountain police officers acted with the utmost heroism and bravery under the most extreme circumstances, with the sole purpose of saving lives and protecting those around them. As a community, we are proud to call them our brothers in blue and pray together for all that are affected by this tragedy. Thank you.
Go ahead. Just want to say something for about 30 seconds and be real respectful of the tragedy we just talked about, what we're going through. Commissioner Gonzalez spoke about his time. This happens more often. In my time in 7.5 years as a police chief, it's happening more often, supported by crime data, crime stats. At the end of the day, in any emergency, be it tornado, active shooter, fire danger is real. In Colorado, we all know that. We have to have the appropriate level of staffing of first responders to include our dispatchers in order to save lives and protect themselves. On this particular incident, due to staffing and where the incident was located, 2 times watching the video, I will tell you that young corporal we just recognized looked up and said, "Where is everybody?" And he had to wait. And the sergeant got there a couple minutes later, and he looked up and he said, "Where is everybody?" And they were it, and they went into action. Now that's a dynamic incident that thankfully, God willing, doesn't happen very often. But this is at the very heart of our ballot initiative and our safety for first responders and for our community. And is certainly part of my education as I talk to people to allow them to know what the needs are, and hopefully we can do something meaningful to support these kids that go out every day across the region, across our country, and hopefully something good comes of that. So thank you for your support. I want to thank the community members that are here. I want to thank you for speaking and your thoughts and prayers, and hopefully we can turn some of this into action and positivity. And at the end of the day, we have young kids, right? They got to grow up in our community. We want you to stay, and we want you to be safe. So that's a big part of this too. We have SROs, we want SROs in every school, and we want you safe. So God bless our children, and thank you.
Thank you, Chief Hepper. If there's any council members that would like to say anything, I'd ask you to kind of keep your comments to just 2 or 3 minutes, and just turn your mic on and try not to talk over each other.
The ultimate sacrifice was paid by Deputy Andrew Perry, and my sincere condolences is to the family. I just wanted to let you know about, they have a club, it's called the 100 Club Community. It's a community that comes together for first responders. And what they do is accept donations, and those donations go directly to the first responders and their families. And this helps with emergencies, families having to come in on emergencies. So I just want to put that out there that if you have it in your heart to donate to Deputy Perry, please do that and put on the memo line that it's for him and his family. And I'd also like to pass, I went and got flags, and I'd like for the council members to put this up in memorandum of him. And I'd also like to give these to the deputies that were there to put on their desk. Sure. And they go in the center hole like that.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome.
Mayor Pro Tem Estes.
I want to extend my deepest condolences to Deputy Perry's family, and how proud I am of this police department, our chief, our command staff, for getting these guys the training that they needed to react in this situation, and for Officer Haley, Officer Anderson, Officer Alvarez. We couldn't be prouder. I also would like to pass on the SC4I is a group that provides counseling for our first responders in situations like this, free of charge to our members. And if anybody would like their contact information to help donate, because it is a nonprofit organization, to help fund that, please let me know, and we'll get this information posted for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Councilmember Hinton?
Yes, my condolences go out to Officer Perry and his family. And Citizens, as you see a police officer or a first responder, please say thank you. Give them a hug. They need it. Times are tough, and we need to support them as a community. I appreciate everything that they do and what they do. The average person doesn't run into fires or runs into firefights. That is something that will require some hesitation, but these men and women don't hesitate. They do what they need to do to protect this community and to protect you and to protect me. So I ask that you continue to lift them up in prayer as you say your prayers each night. And when you see them, please say thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Hinton. Councilmember Rick?
I can't say thank you enough to all of the personnel who responded to this horrible tragedy. And I can't adequately express how proud I am of all of the people, not only the officers on scene, but the firefighters and the paramedics, the dispatchers, everyone who responded to this situation. It's extremely difficult to deal with. And as Mayor Pro Tem Estes says, there are people to help if you need it. So thank you.
All right, is there any other council members like to say anything? Okay. Jen Rodney came down today, gave a wonderful presentation to our team. I think it was excellent timing on our part, but one of the things I wrote down, Officer Christiani, I'm sorry, I don't have your correct title, asked, how do we get past this? How do we move on? How do we help everyone to move on? And I think he made a statement that I think applies to all of us. How we continue the mission honors the loss. And I think that statement doesn't go just for our police officers, fire department, dispatchers, first responders. I think that goes to all of us. I think all of us reflect on what we're doing in our lives or what we're doing when a tragedy like this happens and how we can help our community better. But I think you can all hopefully feel our love from up here and our support. Thank you very much for coming in tonight. With that, we're going to end this portion. We're going to take a 5-minute break at 6:16. We will be back at 6:26. And if anybody wants to take photos or anything, please feel free to come down, council, if you'd like to go down. And if anybody wants any photos with you, we'll take a 10-minute break and do that. So talking about a 10-minute recess. Good evening. At 6:26, we're going to resume the August 9th City Council meeting. We're going to continue on with item 4.1. Excuse me. Item 4.1, please, presentations, citizen requests and audience with City Council Charlize Rafferty. Good evening. If you could state your name for the record, please.
Sure. Wow. Charlize Rafferty.
Thank you.
Awesome. So I have a few words to say, and then I'll get to the presentation, if that's all right. Good evening, Mayor Thompson, Council, and community members. My name is Charlize Rafferty, and I will be bringing awareness to an issue that not only affects this town's youth, but everyone. That issue being that there is nothing to do in Fountain, and how that relates to youth substance abuse. You have one of the best school districts in the state. But as we mentioned in our previous conversation, it is not District 8's job to keep us off the streets after school hours. The adults in this town have not been oblivious to this issue, which relates to a phrase I was told at a youth summit from a presenter, not this presenter, but regarding youth substance abuse. Quote, "They never think it will be their child, so they think it doesn't affect them. My parents certainly never expected it to be me, but it was." End quote. She gave a fabulous presentation at the summit. I have personally seen many city governments and people in power ignore issues affecting them and affecting the citizens they were put in office to serve because it doesn't affect them. They don't know that it does. I would hope this town wants the best for their youth. We are your future, after all. It's time to invest in us, which many of you have shown interest in, but ultimately done nothing. The last time I spoke before this council, Mayor Thompson informed us about the free bus passes for youth in the summer, but to that I raise a question, if you will, Madam Mayor. Where are those buses supposed to take us? If a child or teenager cannot ride the bus by themselves, does the city offer free bus passes to the adults who have to travel with them? Sure, the buses can take us to the park, but I can guarantee you every time I have been to the parks here in the last 4 years, I've been approached by someone offering drugs. My 9-year-old sister has been approached. How many times have your children? And how many times will they say no? This is our normal, but it doesn't have to be. This council has the power to change that, to give youth drug-free places where they can feel safe and welcomed. So why aren't you? This is more than a bullet point on our resume. This is our future. I'm sure many of you had a reason you ran for office, a need to help your community. How many of those promises you made in your campaigns were fulfilled? Don't let this turn into another empty promise. You claim you want the best for us, that you want to help us. Then do it. Make a name for yourself in the eyes of youth. Youth have been neglected in every aspect, social, educational, and political. You, as the only ones who can force change, must do better. Thank you for listening. Let's move on to the presentation. First slide is talking about the history of drug use in Colorado. So, quote, "Despite this issue being treated as a new problem, it is not. A study conducted in 2017 found that Colorado was the 7th leading state in drug use. Since 2017, end quote, since 2017, drug use has been on the rise amongst youth. Some information provided by some CTC members will provide clarity. Evidence shows that youth who have connectedness to adults outside of family and opportunities for engagement within school and community are less likely to get into substance abuse, according to the National Institute of Drug Abuse." Here are some statistics if you'd like to take a look. I can read them out if you'd like.
No, go ahead.
Would you like me to read them?
No, they're
Okay.
fine.
Here are some general drug abuse statistics. I'll read these ones out. Substance abuse among youth. Early drug abuse correlates with substance abuse problems later in life. And the most significant increases in destructive behavior appear to take place among older teens and young adults. Some additional quotes. Quote, "Drug abuse in Colorado is often fatal. In 2015, 904 Coloradans died from drug use, and 847 died because of alcohol use. That year, more people in Colorado were killed by drug and alcohol abuse than by car crashes. End quote. Quote, Colorado's substance abuse problem keeps getting worse. From 2002 to 2014, fatal overdose rates increased significantly statewide, according to CDC data. 12 Colorado counties, including Denver, have some of the worst rates of drug deaths in the country. After taking a look at those statistics, just a question, how high do you think those numbers are now? Moving on, some quotes from the City of Fountain's page. The Fountain City Council recognizes that a healthy economy, lower cost of living, and young, educated people are all contributing to a city on the rise. As Fountain continues to grow, current conditions now provide for responsible development in ways that have not been possible in the past. Through careful planning, citizen and local government collaboration, and a strong, focused vision for the future, Fountain will purposefully embrace the growth occurring throughout the region and continue developing into an even more contemporary, accomplished city while maintaining its all-American hometown feel and a strong sense of community. This will be accomplished through adherence to the Fountain, to the Fountain community's enduring interests, which are articulated below. Let's take a look at population difference in funding when it comes to youth resources. So Colorado Springs' approximate population as of 2022 is 439,866. Funds directly associated with youth activities and resources is 55,650. I've spoke with the Colorado Springs Finance Department, and that is and they do have more funding for specific programs, but this is a general one. And the Fountain approximate population is 30,594, and the funds associated with youth activities and resources are not applicable. Let's take a look at some budget information. So on the City of Fountain's website, it shows the carryover budget, and the only thing associated with any sort of specific youth activities is skate park landscaping. Not every teenager likes skate parks. And on that, hold on, I didn't note that. We can give the City of Fountain some credit, not a lot, but some. As the highlighted sections say, the only youth-related request on the 2021 carryover request is skate park landscaping. The same skate park aforementioned in the earlier speech. Also worth noting, the same skate park the buses give us access to. Let's take a look at some youth resources in Fountain compared to youth resource in Colorado Springs. So the youth resources in Fountain that we have are Communities That Care, organizations like the Teen Action Board, Fountain Recreation, which does have a cost for $60 for the first child and $50 for each additional child, and there are no other associated organizations with youth resources. Colorado Springs has Inside Out Youth Resources, recreation departments that do have free options for families, Pathway to Rockies Council, Boy Scouts of America, creative play centers, and adventure clubs, etc. Fountain's new residents. This city plans on welcoming thousands of new residents, which is hundreds of teenagers and youth. How does this council and the city in general expect to be able to support these youth as they turn into functioning members of society? How are you going to show them that you care? Like this. Things you can do. Provide a safe space for youth. Incentivize businesses to provide year-long teen activities. Attract businesses that provide teen activities. Skate City, arcades, swimming pools, etc. Reach out to youth and see what they need to succeed through surveys, which I'm sure the Youth Council would be more than happy to sort through. Include low-income families, disabled people, and other marginalized groups in their opinions instead of excluding them. Involve youth in the discussion and do not exclude those who need this most. Make sure resources for youth struggling with substance abuse are widely available. Just because underage drug use is illegal doesn't mean you can look down on it or exclude those struggling with it. All done. Leaving the floor.
Thank you very much.
Of course.
Thank you for your presentation. I just wanted to, a couple of the slides you showed up had specific things I would just like to give you answers for tonight.
Okay.
You had listed some of the ARPA funds, which are federal dollars that come from the federal government. They are restricted funds that can only be used for certain things, and recreation was not one of those things that they could be used for. They were very, very specific in what we can use them for. Also, Colorado Springs, when you mentioned a lot of the free things they were given a grant from the Daniel Foundation, which we have already spoken about with our Parks Department about seeing if we can apply for that, and that's how they have the money to provide the free youth programs. So it's not necessarily something that's in their budget to fund them. It was a grant they received from a foundation, of which the mayor of Colorado Springs is a board member on. But I have spoken to him about seeing if we can apply for that, and Sylvia is aware of that. And the skate park was designed by the youth. And my son, who is handicapped, does participate in recreation activities in the city of Fountain, so they're not excluded. So they're welcome to participate in anything that they want. And we work very hard at making sure that activities are included. We have had times where people wanted to donate things to the city, but they didn't want to make them ADA accessible. And we just can't do that. So, so, you know, there are restrictions on certain things we can do. It's not that it's not on our radar, and I thank you for taking your time to come in tonight and speak with us. So thank you very much.
Of course.
And Sylvia or anybody on staff, did you have anything you wanted to say, or? And I do have a handout for you. I wanted to let you know that when I first got on council 9 years ago, the only fountain recreation program in the city, thank you, Gordon, was youth baseball. And the council at that time made it a priority to establish a recreation department, and you have a list there, several page-long list of activities that are offered for recreation within the Fountain community, and the library has quite a list of things that they're offering too. It's not perfect. We do welcome businesses that are interested in it. They come down here, they dip their toe in the water, and we can't help where they go. And that comes down to private property rights and people choosing to do what they want to do with the land that they purchase, you know. And it's a tough situation there isn't an easy answer for. So, thank you, Gordon. Sylvia, did you want to say anything, or no?
No, I just wanted to mention the list that you've given to our.
Okay, all right, thank you. Thank you very, yes,
May I speak?
1 minute.
Yes. Question for the mayor and for the city manager. At one time, the high school pool was open to people in the summer, and then the school stopped it. I was wondering what you thought about maybe going to the school and asking them to see if that could be opened in the summer. It's too late for this year, but maybe for next year. And did we want staff to approach school staff, or we've got a meeting with the school board?
Scott knows the manner that's done, but I believe it was closed this year for cleaning, and basically it ended up being like the whole summer. You know, it would have been like a week they opened it, and it is their pool. Like you said, it is their pool, and they can do with it what they want. One of the frustrations I do hear from people is when they do open up the pool, it's so darn picking cold that people don't really want to swim in it too much, but that's their choice, what they keep the temperature at. The swim team. Scott?
But yeah, we'll follow up with the YMCA. The YMCA actually helps operate it for them. I was just going to say, I want to get a copy, and I think we have it, right? Okay, thanks, Paul. I'll get a copy of this. I just really appreciate all the recommendations, the thoughts, the ideas.
Right.
And so I'll get a copy of that to the city council members as well. So and then Sylvia as well, so that as we all look through the recreational issues, that again will give us food for thought. Because it's not just, what I really appreciate it is it's not just saying, hey, Fountain, do this, this, and this. It's saying, hey, here's some different ways to do some of these. And so I just wanted to thank you for doing it. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. I'm part of a lot of boards and councils that would be more than happy to provide their insight.
Thank you.
And what we're saying is we're not thankful that
Right.
there are
We didn't take it that
recreations
way
here.
at all. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're just saying that there has to be more done because the
Right.
city wants to welcome at least, I think they're building like 10,000 homes. And they want to welcome in all of these teenagers, even just surrounding groups, like even if Colorado Springs is building around us, those are still teenagers that will be in our area and need our resources. So what we're saying is that we need more done.
Yeah, we get it. We get it. Totally, thank you. Well, I would encourage you to go back to the CTC board, and they've collected tons of data for many, many, many years. And I would encourage you to go back to them and ask them what their grant funding can help implement some of the programs in the area that you'd like to see happening also. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming again.
I have a couple comments.
I'm sorry?
I have a couple comments.
Oh, I'm sorry, Councilmember Estes?
I just have a couple comments too.
Hi.
I grew up in this town. I know the challenges that were here. And yeah, it would be lovely to have a recreation center, but there are other opportunities out there. Max Lamb, is volunteering at the museum. And he's doing a fabulous job there. There are opportunities out there. There's other groups that maybe you don't think about, like 4-H. I was up to my neck in 4-H, and it's very active, and there's a lot of different groups. It's not just cows and pigs anymore. They have rocketry and everything else, so that's another avenue. The other one, we do have active Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts in the area. So don't forget those groups also.
May I add something? Yes, I'm aware of those issues. I've lived here for 7 years. And this issue in particular doesn't affect me because I do a bunch of volunteering at many organizations. So this issue is not something that affects me directly, but I've seen it affect many of my friends and many of my family members, which is why we're here speaking about it.
Right. And like I said, any group, we don't have a single answer. I'm just trying to say there's other groups out there too. Don't forget them too, that there's activities out there.
Yes, I'm participating in most of them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you coming in again. Thank you. Okay, that takes us on to item 4.2, Board, Commission, and Committee Members, PPACG alternate member appointment. Ms. Huffman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Rick requested this item to be placed on the council agenda for his position as an alternate member on the PPACG board. Councilmember Rick?
Thank you. I was having a discussion recently with Councilmember Applegate, who we were talking about the Pikes Peak Regional Building Board, and thought I might get involved in that. But I'm already an alternate on PPACG, and I'm an alternate on the Emergency Services Administration. Councilmember Duncan had expressed an interest in being an alternate and taking my place. I asked Ms. Huffman what did I need to do, and she said it needed to come before council for the council to make a decision whether to transfer that alternate position to her.
Well, okay, so let's just kind of, the correct way to do this, because these positions are chosen by council at council meetings in an open meeting. So the correct way to do it, just for everybody in the future, is if you're on a board or commission and you can no longer serve for whatever reason, right? Then you bring the item to the city agenda request, and then we put it on the agenda, and then it is opened up to the entire council for anyone who would like to participate in it. So we don't pick and choose our replacements. It just comes back to the board to see who all is interested in participating in that. So anyways, we have an open position for an alternate on the PPACG, Pikes Peak Area Council of Government Board. And that board does meet on Wednesdays. Anybody, and so the way that's done, once we come up with a member, the email is sent to the board and the board votes on it at their next meeting. And which won't be tomorrow because it's not on the agenda for tomorrow. So is there anyone who would be interested in serving on that board that meets at Wednesdays at 9 o'clock in the morning on the second Wednesday of the month? If anybody who would be interested in that. Councilmember Duncan.
As Councilman Rick stated that we had discussed this, and previous to him becoming on the board, I was PPCAG alternate, so I would like to continue as that.
I just have a quick,
Councilmember Estes.
I have a quick question for Councilmember Rick. The Emergency Services Board, isn't that one going away? Isn't that done in January?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, the board, there still has to be somebody to regulate the contract with AMR.
Okay. Well, I would like to make a correction. The alternate to PPACG before Councilmember Rick was Councilmember Estes. That was voted on by the previous board, and that was who was on the committee. And that was who, and so that she has been the alternate on that board before. Is there anyone else who would like to be an alternate on that board? Okay, this isn't a voting item. Does everybody agree with that? Okay. I'm sorry? And Councilmember Duncan being the alternate. So what will happen now is Councilmember Duncan a letter will be sent to PPACG from our staff, and then she will be placed onto that board as an alternate, and will attend the meeting and speak at the meeting whenever the primary board member is not at that meeting. Congratulations, Councilmember Duncan. All righty, on to item 5, City Council agenda request. City Council shall use this time to request any items for future consideration. Councilmember Rick?
Nothing tonight, ma'am.
Thank you. Councilmember Corey?
Nothing tonight.
Councilmember Hanton?
Nothing tonight.
Councilmember Estes?
Nothing tonight.
Councilmember Applegate?
Nothing tonight.
Councilmember Duncan?
I don't have anything.
Thank you very much. Okay, that moves us on to item 6, public to be heard. Citizens may address the council on items that are not on the agenda. Council may not be able to provide an immediate answer, but will direct staff to follow up. Out of respect for the council and others in attendance, please limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. I have 2 cards here tonight. First one I received was from Travis Baker regarding the VFW annual picnic, which I assume will be open and good food. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Council. Yes, that is this Saturday. It starts at 10. That's when we're going to be open for the Bucket Brigade and all the activities that we have lined up for the children. It's open to the public, free. It's donation-based. We have just purchased and picking up over 200 pounds of pork butt that we're going to have cooked Hawaiian style. So, and then all the fixings. And like I said, it's open to the public and free for anyone. So I just wanted to extend the invitation to all and let everybody know that we're always available. Please come out.
And that was this Saturday?
Yes.
And what time?
We're going to start at 10, but
Okay.
we won't probably start serving food until about noon. Where? At the VFW, 6461, right over off of South Santa Fe.
And 10 to what, 2, 3?
It's 10 until complete. We've got raffle items. We're raffling a firearm. We're raffling a bunch of donated flags. We're raffling all kinds. We got lots of raffles this year. So, and we've got the activities, cornhole tournament. We've got horseshoe tournaments. We've got volleyball tournaments. All that stuff's going to be going on as well.
Okay, sounds great. Hope you get good weather for it.
Yeah, we do too.
And I really just, since you're here, I'd like to give you a shout out. You made a donation to Care and Share.
We did $5,000.
$5,000. Thank you very, very much for helping that. And I understand that your corporate headquarters pretty much, if you donated.
So it's a pass-through, it's what the VFW calls a pass-through donation. So a bunch of our people volunteered at a local thing to generate food for homeless. And we were given a check for $5,000 to give it back to a community-based food bank.
Right.
We chose Sunnyside right here, and went through them, donated the check to them through Care and Share down off the main Care and Share building. And then 4 weeks later, we got deposited into our account $5,000 to be used for whatever we wanted to use it for.
You had to work to get it.
yeah.
So
Yep.
thank you very much for putting the time in that to get the check and help out help our community. Thank you very, very much. Appreciate it.
Yep, thank you.
All right.
Any other questions? No? Comments? All right.
Just kudos for everything you're doing in the community. I'm
Thank you.
seeing everything. All my neighbors have been talking about all the activities you guys are doing down there, so
Every
good
night of
job.
every night of the week, something different. Every night of the week. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next card I have is from Carol Rafferty. And Carol wanted to speak on youth activities in Fountain. Thank you for coming.
Hi, thank you.
And you could just state your name for the record.
Carol Rafferty.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, me personally, I think it's really sad that a 16-year-old has to tell all of us that there's nothing to do for youth. And even though you pointed out certain things in regards to recreation, there's actually 3 youth programs for teenagers. The most of them are for adults or for younger children. And that should really make us think. What are we giving to our children? What are we providing for them? What are we providing for them all year long? Not just something outside where the weather is good and then we can provide for them parks or any type of recreation. We need to really think about attracting businesses where children can go have fun. And they don't necessarily always have to go to Colorado Springs. Not everybody has a car. Not every parent is able to take them to Colorado Springs, go to the movie theater. We have so much land. on the other side towards Pueblo. There's so much spaces here that are not being used, and I'm really hoping that council and the city can do better. We can focus more efforts in doing things for youth. Youth can be included on every single council. And every time council meets, we have the youth council. The youth council could be included in items like that. That would really help everyone. They would feel actually heard, and it would change something for our city. We want our city to be welcoming to everyone. We want to be welcoming, especially to our youth. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would be thrilled if the youth council would set up a time to meet with me, and we can get them coming to council and maybe participating. That's fine. She's got my phone number. Thank you. All right. Thank you very much. Yep, that's right. All righty. And all right, that's the last cards I have. I'm sorry. If you need to speak, you need to come up to the podium, please. And state your name for the record, please.
My name's Fran Carrick. I live in Fountain. I attended for the first time this afternoon a meeting with CTC. I was flabbergasted. I had no idea that they even existed, but I understand you've been there for a year.
No, 9 years.
9 years?
9 years.
9 years, wow. Well, I am amazed at what they may be able to do for us. If they can't do it with finances, they can do it with networking and get us in the right direction for resources. One thing I would like to say, when Mr. Legree came down here and looked at that property that he bought, he was impressed. And I said to him, we have a wealth of opportunity down here. If it's marketed and if it's sold right, if it's branded, Fountain can do it. But we're not, I don't feel like we're doing anything now for the youth, for the community. I'm asking that we listen to this young woman, take to heart. I remember reading something that said, we can't raise our children like we grew up because we live in a different world now. And I grew up in 4-H, riding horses. Those things are exponentially expensive now. People can't afford them. But a swimming pool and a community center, we need to do this for not just our kids, but our community. I talked to a counselor today, and she told me that she grew up in South Dakota. She's a counselor at Welty. She said, during the summer, I went to the parks, and I worked with these children, coloring, playing hopscotch, jacks, whatever. That's something we could do. That's something our kids could do if we could get a program in our Parks and Rec department. We can start small, but I think we need to be doing something. And I'm willing to work with anyone here to try and get this off the ground. So these people, Scott, that I met with today, they have some great ideas.
We've been listening to the ideas for 9 years. So let's kind of say, let's move past the idea process and let's get them to get some programs going. So
I think it's up to Fountain.
We've been participating. We've had many staff members participating with the Communities That Care program. Many of us have been to many of their meetings over the years.
So what is your suggestion? What do you want us to do?
I suggest you talk to CTC and ask them where the grant money is being spent, and let's move on. But thank you. I think it's a bigger issue than 3 minutes at council.
Is that,
So
do you
thank you
agree?
very much.
Because I'm being dismissed right now.
You're not being dismissed. We just,
So
you've spoken for 3 minutes.
Agree with this?
And this is a bigger program, and I'm more than willing, CTC
So
has
it's
my
not the
email and
answer.
my phone number. They're more willing to meet with them.
Heard it.
And thank you very much. All right, is there any other citizens in the audience that have anything to say tonight? Please come up to the podium and state your name for the record.
Anything to do with activities or anything, that's great. It does, sounds like it's real involved. My name is Charles Rucker. There are just a couple safety
I'm
concerns
sorry,
I have.
could you speak your name in the microphone so we can get it for the
My name is
record?
Charles Rucker.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Just some safety concerns. I don't know if it is part of the planning or what, but the intersection down by 7-Eleven, they got crosswalks going across 85, 87 or Santa Fe, but nothing going across north to south. And when they planned it, they put a tree in right on the corner, and the tree is grown real low, and you can't see the crosswalk.
We have 2 7-Elevens in town, right?
No, the south, by 128.
Okay, by 120. I want to make sure
Yeah.
we're at the right one. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so there's no pedestrian crosswalk signal, sign says it's safe to cross. I don't know if it can interrupt, I don't know. That's above my head. Another thing, state law, stop for pedestrians and crosswalk signs. I see some at the stop, the four-way stop here and the intersection just before that, but there's nothing on the main street, all the way from exit 128 to Academy. And that's where a real large amount of traffic is. And we have crosswalks painted right there. Painted across the 85, 87, so I don't know, maybe we can get with the state and say, hey, we need some larger than life type, put in the state law. Because these ones here, they're even hard to see unless you're paying attention. And back when I got my license, even the guys giving the test is, street signs, they just become absent-minded after a while. But if we could say, hey, state law, yield to pedestrians, stop to pedestrians and crosswalks. It just come to a point, I was going in Security Wide Field and I saw a whole group of children just dart. As soon as the light turned green, they just darted right across the street in a crosswalk. It's real reckless of the adolescents. But again, if we have a lot of visitors to the state, so if they could placard it, state law, then we can also say, hey, something else. But let's see. The last thing, rubbish receptacles, trash cans. If we can get some down to 85, 87, there's a lot of people that walk tentatively, not just people up on the mesa that walk their dogs and stuff like that, but they're putting trash down there. They're just putting the trash down, and if we can get some trash receptacles, maybe. I don't know. Keep the trash up out of the main city. It's great. We have a lot of growth out here. It's great, but we got to keep up the growth. That's all I got.
Todd? Scott?
We'll give it a state.
Okay. It makes it tough in this town when we have a combination of the city streets, state streets, county, and thank you. But yeah, they have the numbers. Thank you very much, Mr. Rafferty. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to say anything to? Okay, if you could come down and state your name for the record, please.
I'm Brittany Fetchko. I wasn't planning on
He's running out the door. You need to.
He doesn't want to help me. That's the problem. Creek Week this year is the last weekend of September, first week of October, and me and Bill at the Recycling Center are putting together a Creek Week, 2 cleanups, and one is the location he's talking about. We cleaned up the homeless camp underneath the bridge by 7-Eleven for Fountain, the Creek Week in the spring, and we're going to do it again in the fall because it builds up. So if anybody wants to participate, get in touch with me or go to Creek Week. There'll be 2 fountain sites, one on a weekday and one on a weekend, and we could always use the help. We had a event over in Cross Creek last week. We got about 5 people, and we cleaned up like 10 bags of trash, and it's always a good time. I usually bring donuts.
My husband walks with a bag and a stick and 2 dogs, and sticks and 2 dogs. So,
yes. So, and I always tell people if you can't make my event, like you said, if you're going for a walk, just bring a bag. Pop, because I think a lot of it is the way the wind and the water move from Denver and Colorado Springs, and we do get a lot of and it gets stuck here in the weeds and everything. And
Thank you.
I think the Parks Department only has 2 workers right now or something cleaning up the whole city. So if we could, like you said, community, if we could all pitch in.
Yeah. And for the record, in case somebody's listening, can you state your Facebook page so they can know
it's,
where you
Fountain,
post?
Cleanup, and Community Garden.
Okay.
Oh, and if anybody wants to volunteer at the Community Garden.
Thank you, Brittany. All right, thank you.
We have kale. Come get my kale.
Kale's all yours. You like kale? She's got kale. You can have mine. Thank you. Is there anybody else in the audience that would like to say anything tonight? All right, seeing none. Thank you, everybody who got up and spoke tonight. Appreciate your time coming in and speaking. We're on to the consent agenda. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine and will be approved with one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member or citizen so requests, in which case the item may be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately at the discretion of council. What is the pleasure of council for the consent agenda tonight, please? Councilmember Rick?
Move to approve the consent agenda as written.
Councilmember Hanson?
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor for approval of the consent agenda. Is there any further discussion? If not, please vote.
Seven yes, motion carried.
Okay, we'll move on past item 8A, old business, because nothing was pulled off the consent agenda and we don't have any old business. So we're going past 8 and 9A. Item 9B, I am opening a public hearing for Resolution 22-043, a resolution approving the submittal of a WaterSmart water and energy efficient grant application for the completion of the water meter upgrade project. And I just read the wrong thing, so let's just start that one over again. Okay, if you're gonna do it, go for it and read the whole thing, right? Nobody's like poking me, you know, okay. You're looking at me, okay. We can't laugh at ourselves, we can't laugh at anybody else, right? Okay, let's try this again. Christy, you want the right one read in?
Yes, please.
Okay, let's try the whole thing we're just gonna start all over again. I'm opening a public hearing for Resolution 22-044. Yes. Okay, a resolution approving an amended and restated service plan for the Ventana Metropolitan District. Christy Martinez.
Good evening, Christy Martinez with the City of Fountain Planning Department. The item before you for consideration is the amended and restated service plan for the Ventana Metro District. This item was presented before council at the April meeting, at which time no motion was provided, therefore the item failed. Some of the comments received from many of the residents at that time where they felt that as the board at that time was still developer controlled, that they felt as residents, they wanted more say in how the Metro District Board operated and therefore more say in the service plan. Since April, there was an election held in May where now 4 out of the 5 seats on the Metro District Board are held by residents. They have reviewed the service plan that is being provided or presented tonight and are in favor of the changes that are provided within the plan itself. Next slide. Metro districts are governed by Colorado Revised Statute Title 32, which governs metropolitan districts and other special districts within the state. The Ventana Metropolitan District was organized in 2006 with the initial service plan also adopted during that time frame. The purpose of a metropolitan district is to provide a funding source for public improvements and amenities within specific developments, which are then subsequently paid for by those future residents who will benefit from those amenities and the development improvements. Next slide. The initial district boundaries of Ventana go from Old Pueblo Road all the way down to R&B on the east side. It is approximately 150 acres and are anticipating at full build out 650 homes. It also includes a recreation center with an outdoor pool. There's also 3.5 acres of commercial land allocated within this development. Next slide. Within the service plan, the 2006 service plan had an aggregate mill levy of 50 mills, which was broken out into both debt service and operation and maintenance at 25 and 10 mills, with a maximum debt limit of 15 million. The 2002 amended and restated service plan still falls within the aggregate range of the mill levies at 50. However, they are increasing the debt service to 4 and keeping the operation and maintenance mill levy at 10. And they are not anticipating increasing the debt limit beyond the 15 million, which was already previously approved in the 2006 plan. Within the district, they are responsible for the maintenance of the trails that bisect the property and connect into the city trails through Adams Open Space and Metcalf Park to the east. There's also playground equipment and multi-purpose fields in what we call the Northern Park, which is on the north side of Hidden Prairie Parkway as you enter through the main entrance off of Old Pueblo Road. There's also a southern park planned within their southern phases, which we refer to as Ventana South. There are 4 phases. They are currently working through their approval processes for filing 2 and 3. The park in the southern area falls within filing 2, within their second phase, and is planned to have a half-court basketball playground equipment for ages 5 to 12, and then multi-purpose fields as well. The district also is responsible for the maintenance of the clubhouse and the outdoor pool, which again is open to residents and non-residents. The residents within the Ventana district do pay an annual community center fee, and they also pay a one-time park permit fee to the district. The community center within the Ventana Metro District is open to all non-residents. The current fee for that is set at $600, but it is optional to increase that with the board approval. Next slide. The debt service within the service plan, the district has issued $11.3 million in debt through bond anticipation notes. That debt was issued in 2015, 2017, and 2022. They still fall within that debt ceiling limit of that $15 million. All of the debt that is incurred by the district must be discharged or paid off within the 40 years from the first date of issuance, so that would be December of 2055. The 2002 plan also does propose increasing the annual community center fee from $360 to $540 annually. There is a provision written in there that any increases would be subject to the board consisting primarily of residents and not the developer, so they have met that satisfied that requirement. The district had also collected additional operation and maintenance fees that were above the allotted 10 mills. They are currently working through the refund process of that to refund the excess money back to their residents. Next slide. State statute does require that all amended plans meet certain statutory requirements for notice. The notice is provided by the petitioner and it is noticed to all governing bodies and special districts within 3-mile radius of the metropolitan district boundaries that have issued ad valorem taxes within the previous tax year. It's published within a local newspaper, and then all residents within the district boundaries are notified by first-class mail. The petitioner with the Metro District Board has met and satisfied all of those notice requirements. Next slide. Tonight, staff would recommend conditional approval of the amended and restated service plan and approval of Resolution 22-044. The conditional approval will be based upon ensuring that the Ventana Metro District property taxes that were collected above and beyond that 10 mil for the operation and maintenance is refunded back. That is written into the service plan, but this just provides another additional layer of protection to ensure that the district does follow through with that refund process. Are there any questions for staff? There are representation from the Metro District Board. There's board members here in addition to the Management Association, Kevin Walker with Walker Schooler and Associates.
Christy, can you remind me of something real quick? We had something similar to this brought before us a while back, and it died for lack of a motion.
Correct.
What are the differences between that plan that was presented and this one?
There's very minimal changes to it. Since that time in April when it was presented, the district has issued additional debt, so that debt service has been included within the service plan. But primarily is the district board itself has turned over. It now is a 5-member board. 4 out of those 5 seats are held by residents who live within that community. The remaining 1 seat that is currently filled by a developer seat is up for re-election in May of 2023.
Okay, and they're still building?
They're still building, yes.
Right, okay. Yeah, because we voted on something just a couple meetings ago.
Yes.
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 Okay, great. Mr. Walker, did you want to say anything tonight, or anyone with your group? Come on up. If you could state your name for the record, please.
Jennifer Hersberg, Ventana resident and board member. And I just wanted to mention a couple of things. We are a resident-led board. One thing I wanted to mention just for the record is the new service plan allows for the resident-led board to increase fees, but we have no intention of doing so. So we've not talked about increasing fees. I wanted to throw that out there. I also wanted to mention that the refunds for the overpayment have been satisfied, and I have the amount here if you're interested. I personally already received my credit, so I wanted to point that out as well. And any other questions?
I can't see who was first, I'm sorry. Do you guys know which one? It doesn't show here.
Question earlier.
Go ahead.
Okay, Councilmember Applegate.
Well, I don't know if you can answer this, but
Can you speak in your microphone so they can hear you real good?
The question I had was, this new mill levy, when does it start? Is it the first of the year?
Well, actually,
Fiscal year, what is it?
Right. The mill levy maximum's been consistent since 2006, a maximum of 50 mills. Originally, when the land was undeveloped, it was set at an anticipated need to replace the debt at 25 mills. That's what it was until, I guess, around 2013. Then as development started, it started to ratchet up. So it's been at 40 mills since 2013. So this isn't recommending an increase to the mill levy. It's just restating what the mill levy is currently now compared to what it was anticipated in 2006. Does that answer your question, Councilmember Applegate?
Yeah, I guess. All right.
And I actually have a printout here, if you would like me to bring it up to you, showing what the mill levies were in the timeline, if you're interested.
If you could just hand it to the city clerk, she can pass it down and then people can glance at it. Councilmember Duncan, did you have a question?
Not so much of a question, but I just want to say, as the immediate past president of our metropolitan district, I'm so happy to see that it is mostly ran by the residents that live there. But I do want to let you know that it was of value to have someone, not an employee, but someone that had previously been on the development side, because there were a lot of things that had come up, and they had the background to help us make decisions. So I don't want you to get in where you exclude them, because you're really going to need some background information in the upcoming years.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. That is so true. In fact, before the election, we actually had a workshop, which included Walker Schooler came in. We had the developers come in to really break down and help us novices understand all this bond and debt and what that really means, at the bigger picture. So we've taken advantage of that, and absolutely we would continue to do so. Thank you for that.
Is there a way we can get a copy of this?
I can maybe have Rebecca, or we'll have Walker Schooler send something more official. That's just a copy of the email.
Thank you, and thank you for that. That's really good advice from somebody who's been there and done that.
Okay.
So, Mr. Walker, did you want to say anything? Thank you for coming back. I know you were a little frustrated with this last time.
Oh, no, I was not frustrated.
You weren't smiling when you left.
I was as much frustrated with myself as anybody, that's for sure. And then, again, thank you for the opportunity. My name is Kevin Walker. I'm the president of Walker Schooler District Managers. My partner and business partner is Rebecca Hardikoff. She's the district manager for Ventana, and she's here with me today as well. So I appreciate the second opportunity. I don't always get those, so it's been really great to work with the new board. And I wanted also to point out that Mr. Farrar, who's the president of the board, intended to be here, but he's online, so he's listening in online. I don't know if he can speak from the ether, but
he just has to let IT know that,
okay.
that he wants to say something.
Well, he's there if he wants to pipe in. So I have a very quick presentation and a couple of clarifying points. I think Jennifer clarified the fact that one of the conditions was that we start to work on returning the money that we over-collected this year. We have done that. We've actually over-collected in the last few years, and so we went back and looked at that and have returned all of that money as of now. So that has been completed, as Jennifer spoke. Go ahead and, I don't have the clicker, so if you want to move forward, that'd be great.
If you'll just say next IT.
Next. Okay, next. This is the boundary. And I don't say, if I said it too many times, we'll be up there. This is the general boundary of the development next. That's an aerial photo that shows the area with the new development next. And this is a rendering of what the development looks like and what the area to the south, that would be to the right there, that's the newly developing area. Next. So these are the things we are not changing in the service plan. As Jennifer said, we are not changing the fee. We hope that we don't have to change the fee, and now that the residents are in control of that, they will have a very good understanding of what we need and what we don't need and how to manage that fee. So we are not changing that. We are not increasing the $15 million mill levy debt. Next. We are not increasing the maximum mill levy. The quote that I have in that second piece is the quote from the actual service plan that's existing today, and it says, although the mill levy may vary, it is estimated that a total mill levy of 25 will produce revenue sufficient to support debt retirement. And that's where that statement about the 25 mills has come from. It's not a definitive statement that it's 25. It's also based on the fact that at that time, there were 600,000 square feet of industrial property that was going to be in this district as well. And so as you know, commercial properties pay 4 times as much per dollar of market value as residential properties. And so while the mill levy has had to go up because of the residential property per mill, it has gone down on a per dollar basis on a market basis from market value. So I wanted to clarify that. That was one of the frustrations I had, is that I wasn't prepared for that last time. And I wanted to clarify what kind of that statement was in 2006. Next. It does allow the district board to set the fee, as we've discussed, and it provides the new covenant, or the new service plan will allow us to provide the services actually that we're already providing. It just makes them appropriate and managed by the service plan. Next. It will allow the district to issue bonds to replace the bonds that we're currently paying at 8%. That market is, as you probably know by reading the newspapers, quite volatile at the moment. But we still think that we can issue before the end of the year debt that will be substantially below the 8% that we are paying at the moment. So that will be a positive thing for the development. And we also will have then the opportunity to build those phase 2 amenities that we're talking about, as well as contribute to the Indiana Road railroad crossing. Next. I think that's it. So I'll offer to answer any questions you might have. Again, appreciate the opportunity for a second time to review this, and hopefully we've answered your questions, and I look forward to continuing to work with our board and with all of you. Thank you.
Okay, so this is a public hearing, so what we're going to do is, if we're going to take any questions or comments from board members first, and then we will go out to the audience. So you should probably just hang out up there.
All right, I'll hang out.
All right, Councilmember Hinton.
I just have more of a comment. I appreciate you coming back and your professionalism in handling this. I know it was a little bit difficult last time, and I appreciate you coming back prepared with some great questions for us to think about and answer the questions that we had earlier. So I do appreciate that. And then second to Jennifer, resident, thank you so much for your presentation. Spot on. Good information for us. I like to give flowers when they're supposed to be given, so thank you so much for that.
I'd like to add something real quickly. I didn't say this, I said this last time, but I want to say this again. Your staff has been very patient with this. Like I said, most of that frustration was really on my part. I've been working on this thing for 5 or 6 years, and Christy has been very patient with me about getting us through that. So I appreciate that opportunity and the professionalism that they provided.
Okay, I am not seeing any other lights lit from any other council members. Do you have any questions or comments before we go to the public?
I have one question.
Councilmember Estes.
I have a question this is for Christy.
Okay.
You're off the hook. Since we've been told that they have met that return of the taxes, can we approve this without the conditional on there?
Yes, council has the option on service plans to approve conditionally, or to deny. So it's entirely up to council.
Okay.
Can you explain a little bit why, again, you put the condition on there?
It's just more of an insurance to ensure that it is fully refunded to the residents. It's written into the service plan that the excess revenue that was collected will be refunded to the residents.
Right.
This is just a
And
subsequent layer
but
of
Jennifer stated it has all been
insurance.
refunded. Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, just making sure. Okay, since this is a public hearing and, oh, I'm sorry, Councilmember Duncan? Okay. All right. Saw 2 lights kind of going at the same time. And Councilmember Hinton, did you have something else to say?
I do. I just want to make sure, clarify, so all the money's been refunded to the residents? Is that what we're saying? Okay. I'm seeing a yes back there. Okay.
Put that on the record.
Yeah, let's get that on the record, please, is what I was going to say, yes.
We refunded all of that as a credit on their on their most recent quarterly bill.
Appreciate it, thank you.
And that's going to pretty much be the policy going forward if you get more money.
No, the policy going forward will be, we are not going to certify a mill levy that is beyond what we're allowed to do.
All right.
So that will be the
I think
policy
that's
going
a
forward.
really good policy going forward. But if you accidentally did, they'd get the money back immediately, right? Okay, all righty. All right, you're smiling tonight. Okay, all righty. And any other council members? Oh, okay, nothing? Oh, okay.
Just want to make the motion.
Oh, we need to do the public hearing first, so let me turn it over to the public first. Is there any people from the public that have any questions or comments or concerns about this public hearing?
Madam Mayor, we do have a hand raise from the internet stream from Mr. Eric Farrar.
Great. Mr. Farrar, can you unmute yourself, please, so we can hear your comments?
I've got him unmuted on our side, but I'm still showing that his microphone's muted.
I have been on that side of those calls before, and you're touching that button and nothing's happening. So we'll give him another second, see if he can get it unmuted.
And we do have another hand raise after that as well.
Okay? Why don't we go ahead and go to the next person, Paul, and maybe he can get it unmuted by then.
All right, this will be from an S. Bettleman. Looks like we may be having the same problem here as well, and I apologize. It looks like it's an issue with Teams this evening.
Okay, if you could go ahead and type your question or comment into the chat. They have a chat feature, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And then we can have the IT read out your comments. And we'll give you a little bit of time to get that typing going.
Nothing as yet, Madam Mayor.
Okay. I will give him another minute or so. So if you could continue to try to unmute yourself or type your comments into the chat, we will read them out loud. Or text anybody in the audience that you know their phone number and they will come up and read it out loud for you. We're trying every motive. You would like to text me, my phone number is 719-473. Oh my goodness, I've never said it publicly before. I know it, tell me my phone number, somebody, no? I don't wanna. 719-308-4793. You can text me and Tamara will help us keep an eye on my personal cell phone here, so, I mean, my city cell phone. So we got all sorts of ways for you to try to get a hold of us tonight.
Okay, I think I may have a mic enabled for S. Bellman, if you can try to state your question at this time.
Okay, please go ahead.
Yeah, that fixed it. But
Good job.
by the way, chat is turned off. Can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, sorry. So I have a question for Mr. Walker, 2 short questions. Kevin?
Yes, sir.
Excuse me just a second. Someone's trying to type in the chat and they are texting me that chat feature does not seem to be enabled. Sorry.
Yeah, that was me. Chat is not enabled for this meeting. Kevin, quick question. Can you give me even just a rough guess? I know you don't know what market conditions are, but just sort of an estimate as to how much the residents might save each year if you replace the current 8% debt by what is probably an estimate of what your new debt will be. I mean, how much of the residents may be saving? Is this $50,000 a year or millions?
Well, it's not $1 million, but I think it's between the $50,000 and $75,000 number.
Okay. And is the plan to replace all of the current 8% debt by the new debt?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you. Well, that sounds good. That's my only questions.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your patience with getting that technology going. Were we able to get the other person unmuted, Paul?
Attempting now.
Jennifer has it? Oh, they texted Jennifer.
Yes, I can.
Okay, go ahead,
Hello.
Jen. Oh,
Can you hear me?
yes, we can
that's
hear
him.
you.
That's him.
Thank you for allowing me to unmute.
Could you say your
My
name,
name is
please?
Eric Farrar,
Okay.
and I am, like Jennifer, I am on the board of directors with the Metropolitan District, and I'm a resident of the community. So we're looking forward to getting this approved and move forward and reducing the interest rate on the debt that the Metro District has.
Thank you. Is that your, do you have anything else? I don't want to interrupt. It's kind of hard to tell when you're.
Seems difficult this time, but no, that's all that I wanted to comment on this time. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, and he is texting me saying the chat window says the chat is turned off for this meeting, so. all
Yeah,
right.
it seems like we have a technical issue this evening. I apologize.
That's okay, all righty, that's how we find out, right? We had 3 technologies and one of them works, so that's good. Thank you very much, thank you for everybody's patience. Is there any other comments from anyone in the public?
I have a question.
Okay, Councilmember Estes has a question.
If someone moved out of Ventana already, do they get the refund?
No. That's the board worked through that a lot, had a lot of discussion about how to do that. If we opened up that opportunity, we would have been chasing folks all over the country, and it would have been very difficult. So they decided to not do that. But we did review the possibility of doing it that way.
Thank you. Councilmember Hinton?
If you come back, so what did you do? What did you do with those funds then? If you couldn't give them back to those that moved away, what happened to those funds?
They gave it to the current property owner.
Okay.
So they were refunded to the current property owner. That's where the refund occurred. And we're not talking about hundreds and,
No.
I mean, I think we had a total of $28,000.
Okay.
I think, total. So we're not, I think the biggest refund was about $100, and that was actually to the developer.
Okay.
So.
All right, thank you.
And Madam Mayor, S. Bettleman has raised their hand again.
Okay, please go ahead.
Sorry, that was inadvertent. I apologize. I'll lower it.
It's okay, I need the exercise.
I understand the county commissioners board, if you raise your hand, you have to give somebody a donut or something, if you don't supposed to have your hand up, so gluten-free, so, Anyways, thank you, everybody, for participating tonight. It's great when we have people come to the meetings and have a lot of questions and different things to ask, and everybody brings, and giving advice from someone who's sitting on a board and has had that issue and knows how important having that history for what you're trying to do is, so thank you very much. All right, with that said, I'm going to close the public hearing, and the public hearing is now closed, and I would ask council what they would like to do with this item. Councilmember Duncan?
I'd like to state the proposed motion. I motion to conditionally approve Resolution 044, approving an amended and restated service plan for the Ventana Metropolitan District, subject to any property taxes collected by the district for operation and maintenance purpose during the calendar year 2021 in excess of the revenue that would have been produced by the operation and maintenance mill levy of 10 mills shall be refunded by the district during early calendar year 2022. City Council may also approve or deny the amended and restated service plans. So.
Okay, Councilmember Duncan, I am going to have to ask you for a small correction. Councilmember Hinton pointed out it needs to say Resolution 22-044, and you said Resolution 044. So we need to read the correct number, whole number in. And
Which number again?
at the very first line where it says the name of the resolution, you just accidentally skipped over the 22 part, and it needs to read 22-044. So I'm
Okay,
sorry.
let
you're gonna
me
have-
start back.
We get to hear you all over again. so-
Okay.
All right.
I can
Thank
read
you.
it better this
Thank you.
time. Motion
Hey,
to
you know
conditionally
what?
approve
It's tonight. I did it too, so.
Resolution 22-044, approving an amended and restated service plan for the Ventana Metropolitan District subject to any property taxes collected by the district for operation and maintenance purposes during the calendar year 2021, in excess of the revenue that would have been produced by the operation and maintenance mill levy of 10 mills, shall be refunded by the district during the calendar year of 2022.
Can we have a motion on the floor to approve Resolution 22-044? Do we have a second? Councilmember Rick.
Second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote.
Seven yes, motion carried.
All right, can we send you out of here with a happy face tonight?
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for everybody and all your work on that Metro District. It's very beautiful over there, so thank you. All righty. All righty, so we are down to item 10, correspondence, comics, and ex officio reports. And I will start to my right tonight. Councilmember Duncan.
Okay, so I was looking at our CIRSA safety quiz, and I was proud to see that our own Robert McDonald was one of the winners. And we know how how important that the workplace safety is. So please pass that along, that it wasn't unrecognized. And, we all know that it's August is back to school, and, asking everyone, to slow down in our school zones. It's, our police department is on it. They have it on our pages. And so please don't go around the school buses. My challenge to the Fountain community is for us to have 0 fatalities with our children this school year. And another thing, just because of the good amount of rain that we've been having, there are a lot of weeds. I'm getting a lot of calls about weeds, and and I'm sure they mentioned that they've called Sylvia and said stuff about weeds. And not only is it a fire hazard, but it also makes our neighborhood looks bad. So if you're not in a HOA, I'm sure you're not getting any letters, but we're doing our best to go around to the neighborhoods to make sure that, that our weeds are down. But let's help our neighbors out. So we have some neighbors that can't do yard work. I've seen online where kids are asking for, to do extra jobs. So take advantage of those. Let's be neighborly and help. And let's help each other. I mean, we're getting the moisture that we need, and what comes with that is the weeds. So let's help each other out.
Todd, did you want to say anything about that?
No, the only update I've got is our private company that we've contracted with to do the right-of-ways. We've gotten a couple of good comments that they're starting to make some progress on that. So that is helping us. Code enforcement-wise, this came up today, and just last week they got 35 complaints from neighbors about other neighbors. So it is going on citywide, and I can tell you it's going on region-wide. The county's got some, and the good thing with the rain that we've got coming in is that the weeds are twice as bad, and grow 3 times as fast. So yeah, you're right, we are getting them, and Parks is working best they can to focus on the parks. We've got our right-of-way folks working on that, and we've got our streets guys out actually doing dig-outs and fixing some roads in some neighborhoods. So I think we're in a good place, hopefully, for the rest of the summer.
So one other thing is that where the new car wash is, and they have the people standing out with the signs, if they can get that area, because that's real noticeable when you come into Fountain, and the weeds are as tall as the people standing there with the signs. So if we can get that, I'd appreciate it.
So we'll go ahead, and that's another one of those CDOT areas right there. They control that intersection. So the gentleman left pretty quick, but I was gonna explain when I got an opportunity. We can make these recommendations to CDOT, but there's certain things, like he mentioned, the trash receptacles, they will not put those in there right away, just because of the safety factors and people hitting those. So we'd make quite a few calls to CDOT, and we can keep making those requests, and we'll keep trying. Yeah.
I can hear the weeds growing overnight. I swear, you can sit in your backyard and you can hear them. Yeah. Councilmember Applegate.
I got nothing else.
Mayor Pro Tem Estes?
I have a question. Do we have some copies of the strategic plan here?
Yes, they're back on the table.
For Youth Council, taking the pictures of the strategic priorities on there, there's the whole booklet at the back of on the tables, so you can get the whole thing. So then you have it concise for you. That's all.
Thank you. Councilmember Hinton?
Yeah, I just want to point out that I had an opportunity, I think, with the mayor and Gordon, Councilmember Rick, to be here for their presentation of Shield 616 for our officers and first responders. Great event. Had an opportunity for them to give a donation of ballistic vests for our first responders and our law enforcement. Great opportunity for them and for the community to make sure that our officers and first responders are going out with the appropriate gear to protect themselves and protect others from the public. But that's all I want to add.
Thank you. Councilmember Corey?
My big thing is next week, August 16th on Tuesday from 5 to 7, I'm hosting a town hall for the new ballot initiative for public safety. That's going to be at Restoration Church. It's located at 9355 Peaceful Valley Road. Chief Hibber's actually been nice enough. He said he can give you a couple hours too. He can come down. He can answer some questions for everybody, for the public. So,
And state the date and time again, would you?
August 16th, Tuesday, and it's going to be from 5 to 7, so a week from tonight.
At Restoration Church?
Yeah, Restoration Church, yep, over there on Peaceful Valley Road.
All right.
Around the corner there, Mark Shuffle.
Great.
Yep, so I'd hope to see everybody there. Bring your questions.
All right. Thank you very much. Councilmember Rick?
First, I want to say thank you to the members of the Youth Council and the CTC who came tonight. Appreciate your presentation. What I would ask is that if you haven't already, get your email information to Mr. Trainer. September, October timeframe is when we're going to be doing our budget. And if you want things done, we've got to get them approved in the budget to try and get more youth activities. We don't have, we can want all we want, but if we can't allocate the money, it's not going to happen. So, Mr. Trainer, when you do schedule our budget presentations, if you could invite them, I would appreciate it. I want to echo Councilmember Duncan's comment about schools. Schools are in session. Tomorrow's going to be the first full day. Because of the construction on Link Road, we've got a lot of traffic going through the Ventana area. I've been over there myself yesterday to watch. Everything looks safe so far. I'm going to be going out again tomorrow.
Cumberland, you said Ventana, but Cumberland Green.
I'm sorry, Cumberland Green.
I was waiting for him to come up for air.
Sorry. Mr. Evans, if you could have Ben check on those missing parts for the light at Ohio and Jimmy Camp. I know he's, transitioning in and he's got a lot on his plate, but with school starting, we need additional emphasis to try and get that lighted intersection done. So.
And he briefs us once a week, and they are working on getting those in. Right now, what we're working on is getting all of the right-of-way acquired that we need for that intersection. So that's the next step. And the reason you can't do that beforehand is because those values change.
Yes.
So for those folks that live around that intersection, their values have gone up since we first looked at this a year and two ago. So we're in that process now of acquiring that right-of-way.
So we are trying to get a lighted intersection at Ohio and Jimmy Camp so that people going to and from school can get through there quicker and safer. And finally, I want to echo Mr. Evans' comment about the contractor that we hired along Jimmy Camp. They did an outstanding job. They took 2 days. They did all the weeding, weed eating, mowing, everything. It looked great. Unfortunately, it's rained, and they're going back faster than anything, but they did a good job. Madam Mayor, that's all I have. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. I would like to echo Councilmember Hinton's comments about Shield 616. I think that became very real this week on why our officers and fire personnel need that gear, and that is such a fantastic thing that they blessed our community with. I think we have every officer outfitted now. Todd, did you want to say something?
No, I just wanted to add about the firemen. Sadly, the situation that occurred down in security really showed, because in other situations around the country, the same incident has happened with firemen. So 616 increasing that, they started that a few years ago and included the firemen. It just shows how important it is for everybody that arrives first on those scenes.
Chief Hepper?
This is the second large donation, and they piecemealed a lot of the police officers. So we're about 100% minus the eaches that come in that we equip, kind of one-off. But really, as you've all stated, the support to the fire department, about a third of the fire department has now been outfitted. About 20 of them received their gear, so we'll continue to push that process. We've continued to buy firefighters, first responding gear that we could afford, rifle protected plates and other items. So points are very valid, and this incident does really hit home. So thank you, and thank you for everyone that was there that night to support.
Well, I remember one of the very first trainings we had at Welty before they even moved the students in. I don't know if that was you or Todd, I don't remember who it was. I went in with the firemen, and we were behind some kind of blanket thing you had to hold. They didn't have any helmets, they didn't have any, well, they had like old vests that were like out of date or something. The best we could get. The best we could get at the time, yeah. And but I mean, we've come such a long way, and with Shield 616 coming alongside as a partner, it's fantastic to help the community.
And Mayor,
out
you
that
were
way.
behind a ballistic blanket,
Okay.
not just a regular blanket. It was ballistic.
Yeah, with
I don't
my
want anybody
feet,
to
with
think we
my
just throw a
feet
blanket out
sticking
there
out
and
the
they-
bottom.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
like, oh my gosh, all they have to
It
do is
wasn't
shoot me in the
Aladdin's
foot and
rug.
it's all over, You don't have foot vests? Anyway, it was very vulnerable feeling, and it was very real. Very vulnerable, very real. So, because we know we need to protect our firefighters, because as we saw in Houston, they will not wait. They will not wait. Absolutely.
Which
Yeah,
is happening.
unfortunately, yeah. And our dogs have bulletproof vests, and it's all right, we're all set. Okay. Thank you very much, I appreciate that. I went to the Quick Quack the day before they had their grand opening. They had a fundraiser, and as usual, and I would like to compliment the citizens of Fountain and probably security in Widefield for coming by that. They offered a free car wash. They're free to the 12th, by the way, so if you need to get up there, they're free to the 12th. But they offered a free car wash the day before their grand opening for a donation, and the citizens of this community raised $12,000 for a young lady to get a specialized bicycle that her wheelchair can go on, and so she's able to go out and have recreation with her family. So it does not surprise me that the very generous citizens of this community donated in that manner so that young lady can get the bike, because it seems like that's what we do down here. And we have a lot of people volunteering in a lot of ways and doing a lot of stuff for us. So I appreciate that very, very much. So with that, on to Mr. Trainer.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a couple real quick items. First of all, I want to give Brittany Fitchcoat, I know she left, a little bit of a shout out. For those who don't know, I mean, it's been several years, but she was really someone who came out of the woodwork and said, I really want to help clean up, and she's been organizing cleanups for the past several years. She volunteers at our recycling center. She does a lot. But you mentioned Creek Week, and I also want to mention that the city has a team that every year gets involved in Creek Week and gets assigned to certain portion of the creek and work on that. So we'll be involved with that as well. I want to mention the solar project. We have our groundbreaking, a week from tomorrow. 9 a.m. at the Rustique substation, come off of Duckwood on the north, and that should be great. That should be a great little project for us. So we just want to share that. Thank you.
That is the same day as the officer's funeral, so will that groundbreaking hopefully take only about 30 minutes?
That groundbreaking.
So we can all get up.
The plan is to have it 30 minutes, yep.
Okay, just so we can all be
Yeah.
cognizant of our time and get up to the time to, because we know that's going to be a really, really busy thing. Okay, thank you.
A quick update for everybody. It came up earlier tonight, but our facilities manager is working with Care and Share to move them downstairs at the Walt Fortman to give them more operating space. We're going to do some other improvements along with them to make the access easier for them to bring their products and things. So it's nice to see that Sunnyside market growing and very popular. Very popular. Also, I was asked to give an update on the heritage sign that's damaged that everyone sees along Fountain Mesa. So I reached out to Suzanne Foster and asked her for a couple of bullets, and I got a couple pages of bullets, so I'll try to cut those down. Suzanne is fantastic, but their Metro District is working on the repair of that sign. They've been working with a sign shop company. That sign shop company, like everybody else, is down some folks. Some folks have been sick. They've had also some issues with some parts that have been delayed. They are going to reset that sign a little deeper. They've had some issues with some kids pushing it over, so they're hoping to improve that. They have been aware of it and just want to let everyone know they are working on the repair of that sign, and they expect to have that taken care of in about 2 weeks.
All right, thank you very much. Anything else?
She also asked me to let everyone know that the Heritage Metro District, which is all volunteer, right now they currently have 3 open slots for board members as well as 2 alternates. So they would like to see some folks apply that live in that heritage neighborhood.
So the easiest way for them to do that, just so we don't state people's personal emails on YouTube, is for them just to contact you from your website, and you can pass that information on to Suzanne.
Sure. Sylvia oversees that Metro District, so let's have those go to Sylvia.
Go to, oh,
Yes.
okay. All right. Somebody on city staff. Thank you. Troy?
Nothing for me tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Chief Hepper?
Just a couple of comments, I'll be brief. I just want to be clear on something I always tell potential police recruits of what it is to work in the city of Fountain, what makes it so special. First, we have a great community, really military connected, lots of retirees, active duty, current, lots of great people here, lots of people that born and raised here 5 generations or moved into the city or retired here and found our way and called this place our home. So we appreciate that, and it makes our job special. And for many of us, to include me, I wouldn't want to do my job anywhere else, and that goes for a lot of people. This week has really showed we have a great city council and a great mayor. Some tears were shed by members in this room that sit up there on that bench down there in the police department as we are trying to help heal and go forward and stand watch and go out the next day and provide a high level of service to our community. So I just want you to know, and I want the citizens to know, that was not lost on anybody. It's not lost on me. And we really appreciate it. And then we just have great people. We're very blessed. I want to thank, I think 2 weeks from now, we're going to solidify and discuss and finalize some ballot stuff. We've been continuing to educate. Fran, I appreciate your group that you set up. It was very good. Councilman Corey, thank you for your group. Our job is really to get out in front, tell the truth, be transparent, educate our community. And I always tell citizens 3 things. What can you do for cops? You can pray for us, you can say thank you, and then vote, because voting has consequences. And people have to vote, people have to be engaged and vote their conscience to our future, and it is our future as we all raise our kids and we'll settle and call this place our home. But I'm very honored on behalf of the men and women that I lead, and what they went through, and this process, and tonight is helping them heal. And there's always doubts on what they did and could have done better and other things, but I really appreciate everybody that was here tonight, and I appreciate the comments. And they'll heal, and they're already back on shift, and we'll continue to go forward. So thank you for all of that, and it's very heartfelt from me, and I'm very humble. Thank you.
Can we get a real cop car at the town hall meeting that he's doing? We had a young man that really, really wanted to get in a cop car and turn on the lights, and we had the unmarked cars there. So if we can make sure we have a quote-unquote real
Yes.
Real police car.
Real police officer.
It's not Corey that wants to do it.
Yeah, Corey, it wasn't Corey, it really wasn't. It was a much younger.
We gotta tell that kid, this is the chief's car right here. It goes faster. It's a turbo.
We had to put him in a fire department, vehicle, so, what can I do?
We don't always get it right. We haven't had a ton of turnout to our meetings yet. We keep trying to educate. We get it out. We're educating on social media. It's real good. We have a gentleman that's a web designer that's putting some information that runs through us and a group. And I want to thank Jennifer coming on board and Penny. There's some other people in the community that are very helpful. It's going good on that front. And we'll get those resources there. Frank always says from Detroit, when he did a community meeting, 400 people would show up because they're angry. They weren't getting good service. And he says, Chief, don't worry about it. People here are safe. They feel good. We got to educate them. But they're not at risk and they're not scared of the police, so they're not showing up. So someone there lies the truth. We'll keep educating, and we'll see everybody in 2 weeks.
Thank you. Christy?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
All right, we're so long-winded, Dan took off. Okay, IT?
Nothing this evening, Madam Mayor, thank you.
All right, thank you. Sylvia, welcome back.
Thank you. I just wanted to update council. We did get, hopefully, a date now. Between the 15th and 18th, we should be getting the pump for the splash pad. I've spoken with my Parks Department. We're hoping, weather permitting, that we can keep the splash pad open at least 2 weeks after our scheduled closure date, which is Labor Day. So we're hoping to get that in and extend it out a little bit. That's all
That'd
I
be
have.
great, because last year, I think right after you guys turned it off at Labor Day, we got like a couple 100-degree days, and I know it's hard when the kids are in school because they're not out there, but
Right.
yeah, they sure enjoy it. So yeah, thank you so much for that update. Boy, we'll cross our fingers on that one. That has been a long time coming. All right, did I miss anybody? Okay, all right, with that, we are dismissed.